I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm Carly. I'm the recruitment coordinator for the Literacy Lab. I'm based out of DC, but we are expanding to Hampton, Virginia this year. So that was a great, person to follow because that really sets the scene for the kind of work that we do. So give me just a moment. I'll get this screen shared. Okay, let's go ahead and put that in slideshow. Awesome. So the Literacy Lab is a nonprofit that works with students who are reading below grade level. So very basic overview, we train tutors, we place them full-time in a high-need pre-K or an elementary school where they serve for one school year to help their students get on grade level with their reading. We are an AmeriCorps program, and I'll go over sort of what that means in a moment, but that just sort of sets the scene. This is a year of service. It's a way for you to get experience and give back to the community versus like a full-time job, though it is a full-time opportunity. So as you know, this may have been mentioned during the previous presentation, but we are working really hard to close the achievement gap for our students. As you can see on this slide, students who aren't on grade level with their reading by the end of third grade have significant struggles later on in life, both in school settings and just out in the real world. So we focus on that critical window of ages 3 to grade 3 so that we can get those students ready and ensure their success later on in life. So just a little bit about us. We were founded in 2009. Our co-executive director was teaching a special ed class for ninth graders and realized that none of her students had any intellectual disabilities. They just hadn't learned how to read past a third grade level. So she founded the Literacy Lab, and as you can see, we're working to close this resource gap for schools so we can ultimately close the achievement gap. And we're doing that by placing full-time tutors into these schools so that those students have someone to work with on a daily basis. For this upcoming school year, well, I should say the first year we existed, we had about 30 tutors just in DC. This upcoming year, we're hiring around 250 to 300 tutors across 6 different regions, including Hampton, Virginia. So exciting growth. I know we have 18 slots available in Hampton right now, so something to keep in mind. Exactly what our tutors do on a day-to-day basis. I'm going to skip that pre-K piece just because we only have kindergarten through third grade positions in Hampton. Those folks are embedded into one school for an entire school year. So you're working with the same 15 to 18 kids every single day, pulling them out of class and working with them one-on-one for 20 minutes using this database research-backed intervention model. So what we're doing, we know that it's working because we have the data and the research to back it up. You also, by spending that daily time with your student, really get to build that rapport, build that relationship, and sort of zoom in on those areas where your students are struggling. You're never alone in deciding kind of what the next steps are for this student. We provide a lot of structure and support because that ensures the success of our students ultimately if our tutors are supported. So as a tutor, you are supported both by an internal coach. This is somebody at the school who is usually the reading specialist, but not always. It's just an employee at the school who helps you get oriented, introduces you to folks, shows you where the copier is, helps you choose your caseload of students. And then on the next level, you've got a couple of other folks, a master coach. This is a literacy expert. That's someone that travels from school to school to school, providing feedback and coaching for our tutors as they deliver their interventions to their students. And then you have a program manager. So this is somebody who's overseeing all of these different aspects. So if you have a question or a concern that doesn't fit into the category of the school or, the literacy piece, you've got someone on every level who's there to help you along the way. Basic overview of the commitment, our tutors are serving for 11 months in a high-needs school, implementing that intervention model that I shared a little bit about. You are serving between August and July typically. The goal is to complete 1,700 hours of service. So that usually breaks down to about 40 to 45 hours a week, Monday through Friday. In addition to time at your school site, you're also contributing to the community by engaging in other volunteer opportunities, maybe at your school site or in the neighborhood. That's another way to get involved with your students in a different kind of setting, or explore interests that you might have that aren't directly related to literacy tutoring for young children. So thinking about where our tutors come from, almost anybody can be a tutor, really. Most of our folks do come to us sort of straight out of college. Maybe you're thinking about education or you're interested in the nonprofit world, but aren't quite ready to commit to that master's degree or step into the classroom full time. This is a great way to kind of get your feet wet and see if it's the right fit. And that's true for our high school students who join us. That's true for the retirees that are interested in serving the community with their free time. Those career changers, they might be middle-aged, thinking about maybe I didn't make the right choice or it's time for a switch. Again, this is a good way to sort of test the waters and see if this is a direction you want to go in. Even if it's not, if you have an interest in education or nonprofits or social justice, or you have a deep commitment to the community of Hampton Roads, this is an excellent way to give back. Most of our tutors do go on to pursue education, and a lot of them do get placed in the schools where they served, which is really exciting. So some of our tutors have gone on to be paraprofessionals and even teachers at the schools where they were tutors in the past. So if the teachers and the administration see you kind of making that commitment to the community, that gives you sort of a leg up on the competition. For folks who might have a different kind of certification, schools can work with you if they know that you have that dedication and have demonstrated that commitment. So the benefits. Of course, this is a great time to go into what AmeriCorps is. If you're not familiar, AmeriCorps is this sort of network of community service related organizations all over the country. So hundreds of organizations working with different kinds of areas. It could be the environment, education, homelessness, poverty. We just happen to be one organization that focuses specifically on education. So as an AmeriCorps organization, that means our tutors are also AmeriCorps members. With that comes this modest living allowance for Hampton Roads. It's $1,400 a month before taxes. But that's a significant commitment. So there's also a $6,000 education award that you can receive after your term of service. That is something you can use to pay back student loans or to further your education. And in a lot of cases, schools will match that amount. So you can serve and receive that education award twice. So let's say you serve for 2 years, that's $12,000, and you go to a school that matches that award, that's $24,000 you don't have to worry about for furthering your education. You can also place federal student loans on forbearance while you're serving, so you don't have to worry about making those payments during your time. There's also options for health insurance, childcare benefits, SNAP benefits, and of course that coaching and support that is provided throughout the year. So I know these are some cheesy graphics, but I think they sort of illustrate all those different aspects that we're able to support our tutors with. You'll also see that AmeriCorps logo. Since AmeriCorps has been around since 94, over 1 million people have served with the organization. So that gives you access to a network of over 1 million people nationwide who have this sort of passion for the community and social justice in the nonprofit world. So kind of just wrapping things up, thinking about why you should join. I think this little boy's face kind of tells you everything you need to know about why you would be a great asset to the program, just seeing that very clear impact that his tutor is having on him. But away from the feelingsy pieces, of course, you have that meaningful and measurable impact on the community, training and coaching throughout the year that I mentioned. And obviously that sort of leg up that I mentioned, if you are interested in going into the education sphere or not, having AmeriCorps experience on your resume does offer you a chance to, before you even step into a new office, demonstrate that commitment that you have to a long-term goal. Again, with over 1 million people having served with the organization, a lot of those folks are in the HR departments, and we'll see that and think, oh, I know that this is a good candidate. So just to wrap things up completely, we are still hiring for the 2018-19 school year. As I mentioned, we are expanding to Hampton, but we're also located in many other cities: Washington, D.C., Richmond, Virginia, Baltimore, Maryland, Kansas City, Missouri, and Springfield, Massachusetts. So if you happen to have an interest there, that's fine. You can find our application online. And just as another added benefit for folks who do join the team as tutors, if you refer another tutor who comes onto the team with us and completes all of their onboarding paperwork and all that fun stuff, you receive $100 for every person that comes on the team. So the current record is 10, so I'll let you do the math. There's no limit, so just as an added incentive to continue bringing other like-minded folks to the team. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have through that email address or at this time.
All right, if anyone has any questions, you can feel free to unmute yourself and ask, or put it in the chat group below. What do you enjoy about it, Carly?
Well, I was a tutor myself, actually, a couple years ago. So to be able to see it from both sides is really interesting. And as a tutor, you know, I was helping maybe 15, 20 kids throughout the school year. And now for every tutor that I help bring on board, that's 15 to 20 more kids. So I really appreciate that ripple effect. It's also really cool to see those added, I guess, growth areas that we don't typically advertise, but that our tutors pick up on. We've had tutors thank us for teaching them how to write a professional email. And, you know, that's not something that we're kind of actively seeking to share with folks, but we try to provide as many professional development experiences as possible. And we know that that has supported our tutors in their growth. We also tend to hire from within. About half of our staff, if not more, is comprised of former tutors. So there's that chance to sort of move on up if you demonstrate success as a tutor and dedication throughout your term of service. So I like that sort of family feel that the previous presenter was talking about. I think we definitely have that as well in our organization.
And how do you feel equipped after, you know, getting on board? How do they equip you to go teach people how to read and to tutor them?
Yeah, so the program or the model that we use is called the Reading Core Model, and that was developed over 10 years ago by a big team of researchers. It's used all over the country. We're just one organization that happens to use it, so I have a lot of faith in the model. I appreciate data and seeing results, like literally, visually. You can see the graph of your students' progress throughout the year, which is great. For the preparation prior to stepping into the school, our tutors have a week-long training institute where they're learning those interventions, they're practicing them with each other, they're receiving one-on-one coaching. They're also receiving additional 60 to 80 hours of coaching throughout the year, both for those interventions, but also things like behavior management. So you have all those tools in your toolkit to support you throughout the year as well.
Oh, cool. So you learn pretty much every aspect that you might face.
Yeah, and then, you know, you're there as a support. You're not there to kind of be the disciplinarian, to be the, you know, person in front of the class. You have folks to kind of step in and take over, or to support you, you know, if need be. So that's what I also appreciated, and I know our tutors appreciate, is that consistent support at multiple levels. You know, sometimes, depending on the situation, you can go into a school or into a new work environment and you aren't quite sure who to turn to, but we really make it, you know, as clear as possible who's there for you and what they'll do to help you out.
And do you have any stories how you saw, you know, this experience make a difference in a student's life?
Oh, absolutely. Oh gosh, how do I pick just one? There was one student who, the tutor who was at my school the year before me, student didn't talk to her at all through the entire school year, wouldn't say a word. So continued to give her the intervention. So she was taking it in. And then I worked with her, and I was getting maybe 1, 2, 3 words out of her throughout my year. The tutors who worked with her last year, this child is speaking in full sentences and is no longer on caseload because, it takes time, but planting those seeds and being consistent and not giving up on these kids, she's fine. She's great. She's reading on grade level, and she's ready to go into 3rd grade without our help anymore. So it was cool, kind of like team effort over some time.
Must be rewarding to see the difference that you can make.
Absolutely. And again, I'm someone who likes to have tangible results. So if you value data, if you value, making a measurable impact, I think this is a great fit for sure.
Well, Carly, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And
Absolutely.
we'll get your presentation shared with even more people once we break apart the recordings, and we'll have them reach out to you and find out more about the opportunity.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you.